MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you.
Coming up next on State Circle, historic change in the House of Delegates where there is a new sheriff in town. Generational change in the state Senate as a veteran leader steps aside. And a compromise on building new toll lanes. All next.
Connecting Marylanders to their government. This is State Circle.
Good evening as we begin MPT's 39th year of providing complete weekly coverage of your legislature at work. I'm Jeff Salkin. This is State Circle. The 2020 General Assembly began this week with a major change at the top. A new president of the Senate was elected, and in the House of Delegates, a new and groundbreaking speaker began her first session. We begin with MPT's Charles Robinson.
As a woman and also as a mom of a young daughter, it makes me so proud. Looking nationally at what's happening, it's pretty scary, but here in Maryland, we're working hard to make sure that young girls can see themselves in their government.
You can't be what you can't see. It's very difficult to be what you can't see, and we're seeing it, and it is inspirational.
Delegate Adrian Jones' ascent to the top post in the House followed the death of the late Speaker, Michael Bush. On this day, things were different.
I am privileged to honor and nominate Adrian Jones as the next Speaker of the Maryland House of Delegates.
Would have been unfathomable for most of us who sit in this chamber to have been elected to the Maryland House of Delegates. This is because of our skin color or because of our gender. However, today, we are living history with the nomination before us.
As Speaker of the Maryland House of Delegates.
As Speaker of the Maryland House of Delegates.
Congratulations, Madam Speaker.
While we embrace change, it is important to continue a legacy that puts people first and fixes what's broken. This is a new day, but our goals remain the same.
Adrian's been a really good friend to many of us in the minority party in the legislature. She's a serious policy person. I've never known her to be into sort of frivolous partisanship. So we're real optimistic that she's going to be a good leader, and we'll certainly be here to support her.
In Annapolis, I'm Charles Robinson for State Circle.
The state Senate has been led by the same person for a record 33 sessions. Now President Emeritus Mike Miller is stepping back from leadership. As MPT's Sue Copeland reports, the new president represents a new generation.
Senate President Mike Miller had one last bit of official business before turning over the gavel to his 36-year-old successor, overseeing the swearing in of the Senate's newest member.
We're swearing in a new member of the Senate.
Then it was Miller's time to stand from his seat near the back of the room to nominate the Senate's newest president, Bill Ferguson.
This is a very, very special day for a young man who has proved to be an able son, an able husband, an able father, a teacher, an educator, a scholar, a citizen activist.
And Miller said Ferguson has the enthusiasm, talent, and virtue needed to lead the Senate.
Some people don't realize that they're Maryland state senators and they've taken an oath of office to represent the entire state of Maryland. Okay, our new Senate president, he recognizes that.
Seconding the nomination, Senate Minority Leader J.B. Jennings.
I think we made the right choice. I think we got a good guy up there.
Ferguson, who represents Baltimore City and County, said he appreciated the support from his Senate colleagues.
I am so deeply humbled and heartened and just honored to have your support, to have learned from you over the years, the good, the bad, the hard, the ugly. You have led this chamber in ways that no one could have imagined.
The new president promised the Senate will work together to solve the state's problems.
I have so much confidence in the days ahead because of what we agree on and not what we don't.
Eastern Shore Republican Senator Addie Eckert says the transition in leadership in the Senate was a moment to remember.
It was a little emotional very exciting, and I think extremely historic as we transition into a new age.
In Annapolis, Sue Copen for State Circle.
A series of corruption cases involving state lawmakers is leading Governor Hogan to propose stronger ethics rules. More on that from Nancy Yamada.
Many are our friends here, and when it happens, it's just a shock.
From both sides of the aisle,
it really let down the people. It's sad for me to say that because these were friends of mine.
They say there's no excuse for lawmakers who run afoul of the law. Former Delegate Cheryl Glenn's seat remains empty after she abruptly resigned last month after the Baltimore City lawmaker was indicted for accepting cash in exchange for pushing marijuana legislation. Tawana Gaines, who served as a delegate for nearly 2 decades, is now serving time in federal prison after she recently pleaded guilty to misusing campaign funds for personal expenses. In response, Governor Hogan is calling on lawmakers to pass the Ethics and Accountability in Government Act, which would increase penalties for briberies and require wrongdoers to forfeit their pensions.
We definitely need to help, I think, people make better decisions. And maybe part of this is education. And I'm not sure that that'll be part of the legislation or not, but to help everybody here know that this is acceptable or this isn't.
But not everyone's convinced stricter laws will be a deterrent. Is there anything the legislature can do?
You cannot legislate that. It's like legislating attitude. How do you do that? You legislate character. How do you do that? We can put all the laws in we want. You're always going to have somebody to think they can do something that somebody may not ever find out.
Over the next 90 days, House Speaker Adrienne Jones says she expects lawmakers to also ask tough questions about Governor Hogan's real estate business dealings as it relates to state transportation projects.
Corruption is not a partisan issue in Maryland or nationally, and so I am actually looking forward to a robust discussion about ethics reform, campaign finance reform, and democracy reform in the coming session.
And while not condoning the actions of his indicted colleagues, Delegate Darrell Barnes, who succeeded Glenn as chairman of the Legislative Black Caucus, says he wonders if recent scandals might lend to a discussion on their annual compensation.
You have to look at the federal government. The federal government pays the congressmen and senators a handsome salary and give them the right benefits so they are not tainted to do something corruptive.
So $50,000, you don't think that's adequate for 90 days of work?
No, because it's not just 90 days of work. You know, we work really year round.
While not disagreeing with that point,
they do go around and visit constituents to some extent the rest of the year, but many of them have other jobs. So I don't think that they need a raise.
And obviously they have other means of income, so they're getting paid enough.
Opinion shared by a handful of constituents we met touring the State House. I'm Nancy Yamada for State Circle.
A controversial plan to relieve traffic congestion in the Washington area is moving forward. The Board of Public Works on Wednesday voted 2-1 to approve what the governor calls a transformative traffic relief plan. It will involve private companies adding toll lanes to the American Legion Bridge into Virginia, as well as parts of the Capitol Beltway and I-270. Environmentalists say the Hogan administration's preference for roads is not in the best interest of the state. They staged a demonstration outside of the governor's residence. Part of a compromise between the governor and Comptroller Francho will allow buses to use the new toll lanes free of charge. Governor Hogan wants this legislative session to focus on accountability. In addition to increasing the penalties for official corruption, the governor is proposing greater disclosure of sentences handed out by judges, along with local oversight of failing schools.
This is the third session in a row where we've started the legislative session with indictments of legislators. So I would say everybody should be concerned.
Our agenda is crime. It's the one thing that we hear all the time with our murder rate in Baltimore City, and Baltimore County even had the highest murder rate in their history, that we have to do something. So it's kind of, that's where we're coming from, the minority party side, is we're going to focus on crime, see what we can do to pass legislation to put criminals away, especially repeat offenders, not let them out, so we can try to lower these crime rates.
The governor is again proposing that a nonpartisan commission handle the upcoming redistricting process. Many local officials were in attendance for the opening of the legislative session. Baltimore Mayor Jack Young was in the chamber for the swearing in of newly appointed State Senator Charles Sydnor. Young says he'll be in Annapolis frequently.
Public education and public safety. Those are my main two things that I'm down here for, including the PIMDECO deal that we're looking to get done down here in Annapolis. And I'm going to spend most of my time down here on those three things.
Now, Senate President Emeritus Mike Miller urged action on Baltimore's crime problem. Wednesday's opening session of the House of Delegates was the first ever live streamed. Remote cameras have been installed in strategic spots around the chamber. The stream can be accessed on the General Assembly's website. It's a pilot project for this year. About a third of the sessions will be broadcast. The Senate is planning to begin streaming next year. Joining us for the Annapolis Face-Off this week, Delegate Sandy Rosenberg, Democrat from Baltimore City, and Delegate Nick Kipke, the minority leader. Thanks to both of you for being with us.
Pleasure to be here.
Delegate Rosenberg, you have been in the legislature 38 years, senior member of the House, so you have actually seen transitions before. A lot of people, all they knew was Mike and Mike for so many years. What tends to happen in terms of the learning curve for the new presiding officers and everybody just getting used to a new way of working?
Well, I think the first time an important bill gets to the floor and is debated on the floor, and the work that happens getting people informed about the bill beforehand, I think that's my recollection, that's the key moment or the transition moment when a major bill gets considered and moved to the next to the other house.
Who was the Speaker of the House when you took office? Was it Ben Cardin?
Yes, it was, and we were from the same legislative district, District 42 then. So that was, we always knew, Jim Campbell and I, when we went to a community meeting, that there was no question that would go unanswered because Ben would always know the answer.
And you had a little extra clout, on day one from that, I guess.
I learned to take advantage of that discreetly.
So, Delegate Kipke, from the Republican standpoint, your relationship with Speaker Jones, what do you see going forward?
Well, first, let me just say in the last few years, especially, we had a very good relationship with Speaker Mike Bush, and we hope that that tradition will continue on with Speaker Jones. What we like most about her, and the reason we gave her our support in the Speaker's election, is that she's known for being a serious policy person. She's not into silly partisan gamesmanship, which has become far too common in modern politics and could happen here. Fortunately, with her as our Speaker, we believe that this will be a legislature that, will be a little further to the left than I like, but certainly will be one that's more serious, and I believe she'll reject the partisanship.
Republican caucus played a role in her selection in the special session last May. Do any benefits accrue to the members of the minority because of that? Is there anything operationally in terms of committee assignments that you get now that maybe you didn't used to get?
Well, if I were to disclose that very private information, they might vanish. So I'll keep that close to my vest.
But I understand.
But I would tell you, Speaker Jones is a good woman, and we were proud to support her. And we're very optimistic about what the future holds with her as Speaker.
If I could just add, more than once I would be in a meeting with Speaker Bush about an issue of concern to me or my district, and he would stop me a minute into my spiel because he knew where I wanted to go and he wanted to get there as well. And the very first issue I brought up with Speaker Jones, the future of Pimlico Racetrack, she was very responsive right out of the gate, and look forward to working with her on that and many other issues.
Well, I was about to ask what your top issues were, but Sandy, since you mentioned Pimlico, let's dive into that a little bit. It's a big ask, a lot of money spread out over years if it's financed, if there's borrowing involved. But you're coming in with that. the same year that the Kirwan Commission recommendations are pending. Does that make it a little bit tougher to do something with a big fiscal note?
Well, the source for the borrowing for the bonds to rebuild Pimlico and Laurel, and in Pimlico's case to also make the land available, prepared for economic and community and housing development. That money would come from slots revenues that now goes for either racing or neighborhood improvements in the Pimlico area. So it's not diverting money that would otherwise be available at the current time for education funding.
Delegate Kipke, how's that looking?
We haven't taken a position on that yet. It's certainly a very intriguing proposal. We care about Preakness and Pimlico and the heritage around that. So when we dive deep, we're going to be diving deep into the issue in a manner to be supportive, but certainly the devil is always in the details.
And Delegate Rosenberg, before we move on, I think anybody who's been near Pimlico understands the need for improvements there. The festival setup seems appealing. Maybe harder to understand why the track has to be rotated and why Laurel, which everybody has been talking up as being new and improved, needs to be completely rebuilt.
Well, I can speak to I've learned, I did not know in my geometry class that developers do not like triangles. So the current, more than half the property at Pimlico will be available for private development, for housing, for commercial use. We hope a grocery store. There's already been interest from a hotel because of the location of Sinai nearby. But the track is being rotated to create rectangular land on the north and the south of it. And in addition, you've also got Sinai Hospital, which owns the parking lot on the western end of the property. They're already committed to their development.
I was afraid you were talking about a rectangular track, which would be even more difficult. So, Delegate Kipke, top issue for the Republican caucus this year?
I think the top issue for all of us should be the urgent crisis that is violent crime surging, not just in Baltimore City, but in the entire region. We obviously know about the record numbers of murders in Baltimore City, record numbers of murders in Baltimore County, record numbers of rapes in Montgomery County, and I can go on and on and on. We have an urgent human rights crisis in our state that I don't hear enough politicians in Annapolis talking about. We in the Republican caucus have met with, judges who can share our concerns about violent, repeat criminals, violent people who use guns and other means to harm others. And these just aren't criminals hurting other criminals. You know, there's a wonderful young woman, 21-year-old, who was murdered. A beauty shop owner in Baltimore City was doing something good with her life, and she was murdered the week of Christmas. There are so many stories like this. She now has a daughter without a mother that's being raised by the grandmother. It just goes on and on and on. And I don't hear people talking about it. And so we're going to be talking about it. The governor's talking about it. I heard Senate President Miller talking about it yesterday. It should be treated like a crisis.
And I know
it's
Delegate Rosenberg
would
like to talk about it, but I'm afraid we're out of time. So Delegates Rosenberg and Kipke, we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
And we're back with the Political Roundtable right after this.
Open up the door and take my hand and follow me into the sun. There's no end.
Let's push it on the limit of our understanding.
Hi, neighbor. This is where we go. Amazing. Luna! This is where we go.
We're on the front lines of each story.
I can feel it rising. Like thunder on the ground. Dive into a world unknown. This is where we go.
The world is changing.
This is where we go. This is where we go.
celebrating?
How about that? Wow. For the Political Roundtable this week, we're joined by MPT's Charles Robinson and Pamela Wood of the Baltimore Sun. Belated Happy New Year. Good to see everybody.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with a little bit of political news. One coming from Comptroller Peter Franchot, and also a new Gonzalez poll with approval numbers for both Governor Hogan and President Trump.
Well, you want to start with Peter Franchot?
Sure. It's been called the worst-kept secret in Annapolis or Maryland politics. Comptroller Peter Franchot confirmed this week that he is going to run for governor. He's been talking about it, thinking about it for a long time, but he told a fundraiser this week that he is putting his hat in the ring, and then he confirmed it in a bunch of media interviews. He thinks he's the man for the job. Although it is quite early to run for governor. You can't even file the paperwork for more than a year. This would be for 2022, and we just started 2021.
And he cannot start raising money yet, if I remember correctly, because he hasn't have an exploratory committee or anything like that.
Well, he has been raising money in his existing state account for comptroller, and he told me that his fundraising has been pretty strong. He had $1 million as of last year, so that's a good head start on the other candidates going forward.
You know, he wasn't the closest ally of the rest of the Democratic Party leadership in the state. Is he maybe moving slightly back towards Democratic orthodoxy, or how does he plan to deal with that?
Yeah, that's something that we'll be watching moving forward now that he's officially, as official as you can be at this point, a gubernatorial candidate. He likes to describe himself as an outsider, even though he's been in elective office for decades. And he always says he fights against the Annapolis machine. Well, the Annapolis machine is Democrats, so he's going to want to vote for him in the Democratic primary we expect to be contested. So that's going to be a key thing we look forward.
And he won't be the only one that will enter this race, but he's just the first of many, I think, that will enter this race.
And the comptroller will be on this program this time next week talking about that, and also talking toll roads, state finances, and so forth. To the Gonzalez poll, it's not, I suppose, news that Governor Hogan is popular, but the numbers are impressive.
They are. I mean, I think, what is it, around the 70%?
75% in the latest poll, yeah.
And I think a lot of people, there was an article that was associated with this poll I thought was interesting, is you might not like his policies, but you like him personally. And that has been one of his hallmarks. I think of the governor as the everyman. It's the guy you want to have a beer with. It's the guy you want to invite to the cookout. And that's the way he's kind of played it. And, he gets a lot of sympathy, too, for trying to be a Republican governor in a democratically controlled state.
Yeah, he certainly does have that personal appeal. Maybe not the most popular person in this building with the Democratic-led General Assembly, but poll after poll, he's consistently been in the 60s and the 70s in his approval rating.
Just about 3 weeks till Election Day, special Election Day, the 7th District congressional race to fill the seat that was held by the late Elijah Cummings. And there are a number of members of the General Assembly who are going to be working in Annapolis and running for Congress at the same time very hard over the next few weeks.
You want to run down the names?
Sure. Busy days and nights for Senator Jill Carter of Baltimore, Delegate Talmadge Branch of Baltimore, Delegate Terry Hill from Howard County, Delegate Jay Jalisi from Baltimore County are
That's
all
just in the 7th Congressional District.
That's in the 7th Congressional District, running in the Democratic primary on February 4th. So they're quite busy.
Now, we mentioned at the top of the program that there is a new sheriff, as she likes to call herself, Speaker Jones. And there have been some tangible little signs that a woman is in charge when it comes to the scarcity of restrooms in the old State House there.
Yeah, well, there weren't any restrooms here for a long time, and they have been improving, but she's added some additional ones in this particular chamber. You want to talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, sure. The Speaker Jones, in the interim over the last several months, added more stalls to the women's room. This is just for the lawmakers, not for the rest of us, but there's more women's stalls now. And she also created a gender-neutral bathroom for anybody to use, anticipating if men, women, transgender, and it's a small thing. She also put some changing rooms in the restrooms over in the House Office building, trying to be more accommodating of the realities of more women being elected to Annapolis.
And this has been declared the Year of the Woman by the governor.
Right.
And guess what? There are a lot of them here, and they're going to change the power dynamics of how things are done.
Right, and a lot of the leadership here is female. Speaker Jones, her Speaker Pro Tem, Delegate Cherie Sample Hughes, and then over across the hall in the state Senate, the new president is Bill Ferguson. His second in command is Senator Melanie Griffith as the president pro tem. So that's 3 women among the top
Pam
4.
and Charles, I'm afraid we
leaders.
have to leave it there. Great to see you. Remember to watch Pam's work in the Baltimore Sun, baltimoresun.com. Thank you for watching State Circle. We're back Monday with Direct Connection. For all of us at MPT, thanks for watching and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.
TV Worth Watching is supported by the members of MPT and by...
Our children's futures start at a very young age, and Catholic schools prepare them for that future. Academic excellence with the belief that all students will succeed.
Discover the difference. To learn more, visit archbalt.org/schools.
Hello, I'm Robert Mushaw.